Right, hello everybody and welcome to another one of my videos, and this is going to be a bit of a painting video. So today I'm just going to show you how I paint the Pike and Shotte Cavalry Regiment from Warlord games. I'm painting it up for English Civil War, so I'm going to be painting it up as a Royalist, but it could be used as a Parliamentarian with some slight adjustments, or also for the 30 Years' War. As always, I will put a list of the paints I use in the description below, and there'll be some pointers on the screen, but if you have any comments or any questions, then just drop them down below. In the meantime, let's get started, and we will start with the horse itself. So for the horse, I'm going to use the contrast paint GORE GRUNTA Fur, and I'm going to liberally apply that to all the areas of horse flesh, and I'm going to try really hard to keep the contrast paint off of the mane and the tail and just the reins and all other areas that basically aren't horse flesh. Once that's dry, I'm going to use TALASSAR blue and I'm going to paint the saddle covering. I will be coming back over this later to do the trim with another colour, but again, just try and be careful and not to get it on any of the other parts of the figure. I'm now going to use black TEMPLAR and I'm going to paint the tail of the horse and the mane of the horse. Once this is dry, I'm then going to use snakebite leather and I'm going to paint basically all the leather areas, which includes the holster, the boots, the scabbard and the gauntlets of the rider. Again, just going to try and be as neat as possible. Now I'm going to use Dark Angel's Green. This is another contrast paint, and I'm going to do the reins of the horse. Now, I don't really have a historical reference for this. I just thought the colour looked pretty cool and it contrasts pretty well with the brown. Once this is dry, I'm then going to do the main area of the rider, which is his buff coat, and I'm going to start by using NAZDREG yellow, and I'm going to again put this on quite liberally but not let it pull, so you can use your brush to soak up anything that pulls or just pull it away. I'm now going to use DARKOATH flesh to paint his face. Now, as he's wearing this 3-bar pot helmet, his face is going to be in shadow, so I won't be highlighting any of those areas, and I'm also going to paint the muzzle of the horse. Now that's dry, I'm going to use Vallejo Model Air Colour Chrome, and I'm just going to pick out the silver areas on the scabbard, the spurs. I'm going to paint the helmet with this and the sword, and there's also some horse harness decorations that you can pick out as well. As this man is a royalist, I'm going to be using the Citadel colour Blood Angels Red, another contrast paint which is nice and rich, and I'll be giving him a nice red sash, and I'll also paint his trousers or leggings in red as well. Now that's dry, I'm going to use the colour WYLDWOOD and I'll paint the stock of the pistol, and I'm also going to paint his hair with this nice dark brown colour as well because it contrasts with the buff coat. Once dry, I'm going to use BASILICANUM grey and I'm going to paint that over the hooves, but because I'm going to be covering the hooves with mud effect later, that's it. I'm not going to be putting any other detail work on those. Once done, I'm going to use CORAX white. I'm going to paint some details on the horse. I'm going to paint some patches on its hindquarters and some small spots, and I'll also paint some socks on it as well, and it's just to add some variation in the cavalry regiment. I'm now going to use the Vallejo colour Pale Sand, and I'll just edge in the trim on the saddle cloth. Once everything is dry, I'm going to use a 50-50 mix of the Army Painter QUICKSHADE wash and the mix in medium, and basically just liberally put that all over the model, but again not letting it pull, and leave that to dry, and won't be coming back to it until everything is solidly dry. Now I'm just going to do a little bit of highlighting work, and I'm going to use Evil Sunz Scarlet from Citadel basically to do some highlighting on the sash and on the trousers, picking out the highest areas and the edges, and it just gives it a nice highlight. Okay, so now I'm going to use USHABTI Bone, and I'm just going to edge highlight the buff coat, just showing where there might be some more areas of wear, like along his sleeve and the bottom parts which will be rubbing against the saddle. Okay, so now I'm going to come back in with some CORAX white and just re-highlight the centre of the spots and the horse markings just to give them a bit more depth. Now I'm going to use CORAX white and I'm also going to dot in his eyes. You probably all knew this was coming, but I'm going to do a dry brush all over the model with deck tan, but focusing quite hard on the buff coat and always using downstrokes if I can. And this just adds wear and tear to the model. Once dry, I'm then going to use ABADDON black and I'm actually going to dot in the pupil of the horse's eye. That's pretty much the model done now, but I'm going to use the Vallejo thick mud, the European stuff, and I'm just going to stipple this all along the bottom of the horse, up his legs, just to show when mud has been kicked up as he's been charging across the battlefield. I'm just going to use a home store brand paint here, just a brown paint, just to pop it over his base. And that's because I pre-paint my bases brown, so once this is done and dry, I can then just glue him onto the base with the other two members of this unit, or this company rather, and get him into position ready to start all the base work. I'm basing my models up 3 to a base and 9 to a troop, and once that's dry, I'm ready to start adding the PVA glue, and I'm going to put this on quite liberally. I'm using Gorilla wood glue as it expands slightly, so I just put that all on very carefully, well, as careful as I can, try not to get it over any other parts of the model. It doesn't matter if it goes over the bottom of the horse's hooves. And once that's all on there, I'm going to use my mix of ground covers, which is mixtures of bait, clay, tile, tile grout, dirt and other bits and bobs, and I put that on there and leave to dry. Once that's completely dry, I come back in with some more PVA and I stipple that into random areas all over the base, increasing it basically because this is going to be for the static grass. So if you want some patchy areas, then just don't bother putting any glue on them. I'm then going to use my static grass applicator, and I'm using a mixture of 2mm and 4mm dead grass and summer grass just to kind of create a bit of a moor effect. And one of the key things is to actually just move the model around as I'm doing this, because I put these down, I don't put them on the base after I've done the base. I need to make sure that I hit all of the areas with the glue. So here it is, put aside to dry. Once that's dry, I'm going to use some more PVA glue, using a lot here, and I'm going to start adding some points of interest to the base. So the first thing I'm going to do is add these sort of piles of either basically chopped up pieces of wood or maybe bits that have been hit by a cannonball, just some litter onto the base. And then once that's done, I'm going to add some tufts. So I'm going to put a yellow flower tuft at the front here. And if you want any others, you can just pop those on. I'm now going to add some just spots of PVA all over the base, just random areas, and I'm going to use this sort of mixture of all my spare flocks and mix them all together and put it on, and it basically just looks like weeds and thistles that will be sticking out the top of the grass. Once this is done, I'm then going to use that Vallejo thick mud, pop it on the end of the brush, and then jab it in the grass behind the horses and twist it. And when you do this, it creates a bit of a furrow, and it just gives the impression of where the horses have been running. Now, if you obviously concentrate this behind the horses, then you'll have a nice contrast on the back of your base to the front of your base. And that's it. Once the base is dry, as you can see here, there's obviously, if you need to, you can go back and touch up any areas on the horses, or you can add any extra details onto the base that you think you might need. But that's pretty much it. It's pretty quick and fairly easy. And all I do now is I add a layer of matte varnish and the base is finished. And here it is. This is the finished base. As I say, it's pretty quick. It's not particularly groundbreaking. I did the video because I got a lot of emails and a lot of comments asking how I did these after the last video where I showed them in the update. So I hope this helps and answers some of those questions. What I'll do now is I'll show you the base with the rest of his troop. And here they are. So this is the completed troop of cavalry. These are actually part of Sir Horatio Carey's regiment for the Royalists. This is the major. And as you can see, as I said, I painted them up and based them 3 to a base. And I've tried to put them in a bit of a wedge formation just to get away from that ranked up feeling that you get with a lot of the other troops. Anyway, I hope this video has been helpful. If you've got any questions, then please ask them down below. If you like the video, then give it a like. And I will see you guys in the next one. I'll leave you some pictures of the finished models, as well as of all of them together, creating the one large cavalry regiment. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you all again soon. Cheers.